Hello and welcome to the 2022-2023 school year. I'm Cassidy Kramer, Director of Elementary Bands for Region 6. This year I'm going to be teaching over at Goshen Center School on Mondays and Fridays, James Morris School on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and Warren Elementary on Thursdays. This year I'm happy to announce that we will have two different levels of band happening in each building. We'll have a first year band and a second year band. For fifth graders who are starting band brand new, or are starting a new instrument that they've never seen before, never touched before, they are going to be in the first year band for the first half of the year to catch up on those basic fundamentals that they would have missed the previous year. And then January, we'll start them into the second year group. Lessons this year for first year students. Mondays will be first year lessons over at Goshen Center School. Tuesdays are first year lessons at James Morris School, and Thursdays are lesson days over at Warren Elementary. Each lesson is going to be about 35 minutes. Students will be grouped with similar or the same instrument. And then each time we get together, we'll also have a 35-minute full band rehearsal where everybody from that year's group is going to get together and play some music in preparation for our concert, which I will talk about shortly. Because we only meet one day a week, it's very important that your student is practicing at home. I'm looking for 3 to 5 times a week, with length of time depending on how much music there is to practice. So as we're starting out the year and there's not much going on, 10-15 minutes at a time, but 3 to 5 times a week. As our music gets more advanced and we get closer and closer to concerts, 20 to 30 minutes a week, 3 to 5 times a week for practicing. I will be sending home practice logs as we get further into the school year to help your student keep track of their practicing. Every time your student comes to a lesson, they need 4 things. Number 1, a pencil, because they're going to want to take notes. Number 2, they will need their music. Can't really play music without it. Number 3, they will need their instrument. It's very difficult to do instrumental lessons without the instrument. We've done it, but it's hard. Please make sure they have their instrument for every lesson. And 4, once we start doing practice logs, they'll need to turn in their practice log every week so we can keep track of how they're progressing in their studies. Next week, your students will have the opportunity during the day to test out the instruments that they're interested in. It'll just be a short one-on-one with me. They'll get a chance to hold the instrument, see how it feels, feel how much it weighs, test it out, see if they can get a sound out on it, see if it's something that they're interested in pursuing. For obtaining an instrument, we don't have too many instruments on site. We have some, but not enough to go around. I will be sending home rental information with your students next week as well. We do business with D&M Music. If you rent through us, or if you rent through D&M Music, it's a real quick turnaround time between when you send in the rental agreement and when your instrument comes in, barring the unforeseen. If you rent with other music companies, it might take a little bit longer depending on what their turnaround time is for instruments. Additionally, if you rent with D&M Music, repairs are covered in the cost of your rental. So if your student has a seized valve or a pad falls out, we can send it off to D&M Music. They'll take care of whatever maintenance needs to be done at no cost to you. If you are renting from somebody else, or if you have an instrument at home that your student is going to be using, we can send your instrument in for repairs, but you will be responsible for covering the cost of that. Most important thing about band this year, we're doing 2 concerts. We've got a winter concert coming up December 15th. It will be at Wamogo. All 3 schools are going to be playing together under the same roof at the same time, and it's going to be fantastic. We'll be doing a spring concert as well, and as soon as I get the date on the calendar, I will send that information home with your student. Additionally, we're changing books that we're using this year. Last year, if you had a student in the band program, we were using the Yamaha Advantage. This year, we're going to be using a combination of books. We're going to use Sound Innovations as well as the Yamaha Advantage. Both of these books I have listed on the class website, which I will share the link with at the end of this video. We're going to use both of them together for parts of this class. You don't need to invest in a book. I have copies and extra pages to go around for your students. If you would like your student to have their own book to help them keep up with it or to give them some extra music to practice outside of class, it's very strongly encouraged, but is not required. Now, as a parent, I know you're asking, well, my student's going to be the one that's playing, but what about me? What's my role in all of this? Well, I'm glad you asked that. Your role is a very important one. You are your child's support system when I'm not here. So the best things you can do for your student, number one, if your student runs into any maintenance problems with their instruments, as tempting as it will be, please don't try to fix anything. If your student has any problems, put the instrument back in the case as best as you can. Send the instrument into school with your student. I will take a look at it. If it's something I can fix, I will take care of it as soon as I can. If it's something that needs a little bit more maintenance, we'll be able to send it off with our music store rep so we can get that taken care of. But if you try to fiddle around with it yourself, there is a greater chance of doing more harm to the instrument than solving the problem. So any maintenance issues, instrument goes straight in the case, comes back to me. If your student is playing a woodwind instrument, so a saxophone or a clarinet in particular, make sure that your student has extra reeds in their case. A reed is just a little piece of wood that actually does the vibrating on the instrument. They're very delicate and they break easily, so we want to make sure your student has an extra reed on hand at all times. There should always be at least one, preferably two, unopened reeds in the case at all times. At home, when it comes time to practicing, set up a special place somewhere at home for practicing. Make sure they've got a stand, make sure they've got music ready to go, make sure it's in a place where they can focus and concentrate on what they're doing and aren't going to be bothered by pets or siblings or any other distractions that might occur. And most importantly, as a parent, use positive language when talking to your student about their practicing. You are going to hear some very strange sounds in the first couple weeks of playing. It's perfectly normal. But the more you encourage your student, the more positive language you use when discussing their playing, the more confident they will be, the more they will try to put effort into their playing, the more they'll practice, the better they get. Positive language always, always, always when discussing practicing with your student. If you have any additional questions that were not answered in this video, please reach out to me. You can email me at ckramer@rsd6.org. Some of this information will also be available on the class website, cbkramer.weebly.com. And I have also set up Google Classroom pages for all of your students. Please make sure that they accept the invite on that. A lot of this information will also be available to them there and is an excellent resource. I'm really looking forward to working with everyone this year, and I think we're going to have some great things happening in band this year. I'll see you all soon.